Hello anglers. I present the third part of the series on fishing gear. Earlier, we released a video about fishing lines and hooks. In this video, we will talk about crankbaits. Let's start by understanding what a crankbait is.
Let's go.
It is a hard plastic lure, most commonly designed in the shape of a fish, and consists of a body, a lip, a wire frame, and treble hooks. Some crankbaits contain metal balls inside, which produce sound during retrieval, further piquing the interest of the fish. Crankbaits are more versatile than live bait. It resembles potential prey for predators, which is what attracts them. The main characteristics of the crankbait. Buoyancy. This parameter indicates how a specific crankbait will behave when it hits the water. It is a primary indicator, as buoyancy determines the potential uses of a particular crankbait in different conditions. Without delving into specifics, a slow-sinking or fast-sinking crankbait is used at depth, while a floating crankbait is used in shallow water or in weedy areas. There are three categories of crankbaits based on buoyancy.
Let's continue.
A floating crankbait, when it hits the water, quickly rises to the surface, and is used in waters with high vegetation or shallow areas. They are typically made of plastic, occasionally of foam or wood. This type of crankbait is further divided into three subtypes: fast floating, FF, floating, F, and slow floating, SF. The choice depends on the activity level of the fish. If the fish are active, then choose a fast floating option. If they are inactive, then opt for a slow floating crankbait. A suspending crankbait is a lure with neutral buoyancy. It hangs in the water at a depth specified by the manufacturer. This effect is achieved by the presence of an air chamber with weights inside the lure. Constantly in the fish's field of vision, such a crankbait effectively attracts and entices the fish to strike. Sinking crankbaits. Sinking crankbaits are typically used at greater depths. They are attractive to predators because they mimic a dying fish sinking to the bottom. They perform well in currents, are ideal for clear water, and are convenient for long casts. Similar to floating crankbaits, sinking crankbaits also come in three types: slow sinking, SS, sinking, S, and fast sinking, FS. When fish are highly active, a fast sinking crankbait should be chosen, and when they are less active, a slow-sinking crankbait is more appropriate. The length of the crankbait determines the action it will produce. The longer the lure, the wider its action. Therefore, the choice of size depends on the size of the fish you plan to catch. For large fish, choose a larger crankbait, and for smaller fish, a smaller one will be sufficient. When choosing the weight of the crankbait, you should consider the test curve of your fishing rod. This will allow for an optimal casting distance and ensure the integrity of the rod. The next important characteristic of a crankbait is its diving depth. The ability of a crankbait to dive to a specific depth is crucial. The choice of crankbait diving depth depends on the body of water where fishing is taking place. For instance, when fishing in weedy areas or at a shallow depth, such as when targeting perch, it's better to use a crankbait with a shallow diving depth, usually around 30 centimeters. When fishing in deep areas, it is preferable to choose a lure with a greater diving depth. Large predatory fish, such as catfish, perch, pike, and zander, are often found at the bottom in deep areas. Types of crankbait retrieval techniques. Even retrieve, This type of retrieval is the most effective as most predators have this hunting tactic. It works well in warm water with a current, although it may not be suitable for all crankbaits. Twitching and jerking, based on horizontal movements of the fishing rod. These techniques involve creating a lure action at a constant depth by alternating pauses and jerks. This method is often used with minnow-type crankbaits. Trolling. This method is applicable only from a boat. The technique involves the boat moving and towing the lure. It is most effective in large, deep bodies of water. Large-sized crankbaits are typically used for trolling. Stop and go. This is an intermittent retrieval technique, commonly used with crankbaits, minnows, and shads. It requires a body of water with a length and width of at least a meter to be effective. The internal design of a crankbait. The long cast system. This type of crankbait is used when fishing from the shore and there is a need to reach a distant point without spooking the fish. The center of gravity of the lure must be shifted closer to the tail. Minnow or lipped crankbaits with a small lip are commonly used for this purpose. There are several main types of systems to improve casting distance. Magnetic system. Center of gravity displacement. Sound chamber. Inside the lure, a small chamber is created where balls are placed to create sounds that attract fish. Color of the wobbler. For catching active fish, it's better to use natural colors. Such lures mimic specific types of fish that are natural prey for predators. For example, silver or yellowish options are suitable, as well as a greenish lure that imitates a small perch. For catching passive pike, you can use a provocative lure color, for example, bright fluorescent shades. Also, when choosing the color of the bait, consider the conditions in which you will be fishing. In cloudy weather, the bait should be inconspicuous and of natural color, while in sunny conditions, you can use lighter, brighter shades. Varieties of crankbaits. Jerkbait. This is the heaviest and largest lure, which resembles an injured or sick fish to the predator. This type of crankbait does not have any lips, so it remains still when not in motion. The angler animates the bait themselves. Cranks. This crank fishing. This is the simplest lure, so it is very popular among novice anglers. They work well for perch, pike, and chub. The shape of the lure can vary greatly, from an insect to a small, plump fish. Unlike the stationary jerkbait, the action of the crank is quite active. Minnow. A very popular lure, as it's successfully used for catching any predator. The minnow has an elongated, narrow shape and an interesting, active action, animated by the angler. Poppers. The feature of this type of lure is the concave shape at the front, with a narrow body. With this concave shape, the lure seems to swallow air and then releases it with a characteristic sound upon retrieval. It interests the predator by resembling a small injured fish. It is a surface lure without a paddle. Prop baits. Used for fishing at shallow depths, they differ from other types of lures by having metal propellers on the tail and nose of the bait, or sometimes only on the tail. Prop baits are often adorned with bright, attention-grabbing details that are attractive to predators. They are used to catch surface-feeding predators such as trout, perch, and pike. The lure emits popping sounds that attract fish. Rattlin' or vibes. These are flat, paddleless lures, often featuring a rattling noise thanks to a small ball inside. They are used for fishing at depth and are classified as sinking lures. They effectively attract pike, perch, and zander with their diverse, active action. They can also be used for fishing in deep water from a boat or during the winter through the ice. Composite lures, swim baits. Thanks to their segmented bodies, they provide an ideal imitation of a live fish, as the oscillations are frequent and subtle. It is an excellent option for beginners. It is very attractive to predators at great depths and in currents. There are both models with sound and without sound. Walkers. These are lipless crankbaits used at shallow depths and are cigar-shaped in form. They have a subtle action that animates the lure to attract fish. Among surface lures, walkers are undisputed leaders. Fishing with such a lure can provide a stunning spectacle. When a fish strikes, the lure leaps out of the water. Predatory fish such as pike, perch, zander, and chub are known to strike at it. The Croatian egg. As the name suggests, this lure looks like an egg and is classified as a surface lure. Made from very light materials, it hardly gets snagged on anything. Thanks to its egg shape, it has excellent aerodynamics, allowing for long casts with ease. It is more commonly found with a single hook, although models with 2 hooks also exist. Shad. Most often used to catch perch or chub. This lure is named after its similarity to the fish of the same name. There are both sinking and floating versions of the shad, so you can choose a model for fishing at depth or in shallow water. It has a subtle action, so it is better suited for more experienced anglers. Friends, thank you for watching. In the next episode on the channel, a video about spinners will be released. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on great videos for great people. Don't forget to check out the previous episodes.